So far in this chapter, we've only been working in the primary storyline, this dark gray region here, and this is where we are building the foundation for the program. Now we're going to start adding supplementary material to that foundation. So in this movie, we're going to explore how to do this by adding connected clips. Now, we certainly touched on this in the Quick Start chapter, but we're going to go deeper here. All right, so let's go back to this interview that we have cut up. And I know that we want to add some visuals to accompany everything he's saying, but we also technically need to cover up these jump cuts.
I do my mixture of my avocado, then I add that in a white chocolate, and I do my ganache, my emulsion. Then when it's ready...
So in Final Cut Pro 10, the way you do this is to add your B-roll shots above the primary storyline. Now, if you've done this in other nonlinear editing programs, you've probably done something very similar by editing the B-roll to a higher existing video track. In Final Cut Pro 10, there are no tracks, of course. Instead, you add the B-roll in the form of something called a connected clip. All right, so to do this, I place the playhead at the location that I want the clip, so I want to make sure that it goes at this first little jump cut. So I'm going to zoom in here, Command++. And I'll go ahead and place the playhead there. Now I'm going to get the shot that I want to act as B-roll. So I'm going to first take a look at my avocado shot as he's talking about making the avocado mixture. And in this first example, I'll place an in and an out in the source material. So I'll mark an in and I'll play forward with L. And I'll mark an out there, okay? And instead of using any of the editing tools we've already explored, our append or insert or overwrite or replace, we're going to perform a connect to storyline edit, which corresponds to this on-screen key or the Q key on the keyboard. Okay, so I'll just press Q, and there we go. So now when we play over this, we see the avocado instead of the interview. I'll go ahead and play through this.
My mixture of my avocado, then I add that in a white chocolate.
All right, so I think I'm just going to ripple this back to about here, because when he starts talking about adding the mixture to the white chocolate, I want to show him actually mixing things in a bowl. Before we go on to the next shot, I want to just take a look at exactly what's happened here. As you can see, we have this shot that is now anchored or connected to this clip here in the primary storyline. So if I move this, the connected clip moves as well. If I move the connected clip to a different location, this is now connected to this clip on the primary storyline. And no matter what clip I have connected, if I should delete it, for example, you can see that it also takes away the connected clip. So just be careful and be aware of what you're doing when you have connected clips. Now, I'm going to grab another shot of the mixing process. And this time, instead of marking an in and an out in my source material, I'm going to mark my in and my out in my timeline. So I'll go ahead and come down here and mark an in. And I'm going to play forward.
And I add that in a white chocolate.
And I'll mark an out there. And let's go ahead and get my medium shot here. All right, so we've gone from cutting the avocado to having the avocado in the mixture. And I will mark an in. I'm going to ignore the out. So when you do a connect to storyline edit and you have a portion marked in the timeline, Final Cut is going to pay attention to this in point, this out point, and this in point here. All right, so I'm going to press Q and watch what happens. As you can see, it was connected in the exact part that I marked. Okay, so let's go ahead and play forward here and see how it's working.
Then I add that in a white chocolate, and I do my ganache, my emulsion.
Okay, and I think I want to cut to the close-up of adding the butter here. So I'm going to show you the one type of edit that does work when you're working with connected clips. So insert edits don't work, and append edits don't work, and overwrite edits don't work. They all work on the primary storyline, but let me show you what does work. I'll go ahead and say that I want to cut to the close-up of my butter here. I'm going to grab my blade tool B, okay, and cut this up, and then I'm going to go back to my select tool A. And let's grab my butter. I'll mark an in. And now I'm just going to drag and drop, and I want to do a replace from start. All right, and I've replaced my shot.
I add that in a white chocolate, and I do my...
All right, so if you do need to perform replace edits on your connected clips, you absolutely can. Now, as you remember, a couple of movies ago, we did all the hard work of editing together all of this mixing and piping and rolling and dipping. And I have a version, an updated version of that sandbox right here, okay? So you can see that we have some more mixing and some piping and dipping and rolling. All right, so we've already done this work. Let's go ahead and use that to our advantage. I'm going to grab these mixing shots here, and I'm going to press Command-C. And now I'm going to go back to my sequence and figure out where I want that to go.
I do my ganache, my emulsion. Then when it's ready, I let it sit for almost...
All right, so I think I want to go into it right away here. So I'll put my playhead here, and if I press Command-V, you'll see that it pastes it into the primary storyline, not what we want. So I'll undo that, Command-Z. So instead, I have a very useful command that is paste as connected clips, which is simply Option-V, okay? So I'll go ahead and choose that. And you can see that I have all of these edits come in as connected clips, which is really useful when you're sharing material from one sequence to another.
And I do my ganache, my emulsion. Then when it's ready, I let it sit.
Okay, so we might need to do a little bit of ripple trims here to make the timing work out a little bit better. So I'm going to go in and really look at the visuals and listen to what he's saying. But we do have the ability to very easily just grab these shots, Command-C, go back here, and I think he's about to start talking about piping.
Can pipe it on the...
All right, so he's talking about piping here. I'll go ahead and press Option-V, and here we have all of our piping shots.
Pipe it on the tray with a parchment paper. Then this, I let it dry for 24 hours.
Okay, so we can finesse this however we want, but we have the material ready to work with. All right, so I briefly mentioned this in the Quick Start chapter, but I want to say it again. Be careful with connected clips. They don't behave the same as clips on your primary storyline. So notice that if I ripple this out, for example, the adjacent clip gets sent up a level, okay? It's not like when you ripple clips on the primary storyline and everything makes room for it. So be aware of that. Stay tuned for that. In Chapter 6, I'll explain all about how to handle connected clips in this manner. All right, now finally, I did just want to remind you, you can also do this with audio. All right, so I know that if I want music to go under this video, I will simply mark an in at the beginning and an out at the end and grab my music, and I can press Q. And because I marked my in and my out, it's the exact perfect duration, okay? Keep in mind here, if I zoom in, you can see that it is anchored to this first clip in the timeline. So if I move this or so if I delete it, you're going to need to be careful. I'm going to delete this for now, but I did just want to bring that up briefly. All right, so I will continue in this manner, laying in my connected clips, matching the visuals to the audio. For now, just be careful of how the connection points come in play with the clips in your primary storyline, and we will definitely explore this dynamic in more detail as we continue through the course.